quick little talk about the actual coronavirus test with anxiety. So when the whole news came out about coronavirus, the first thing I said was, I will never get that test done. I'm like, I hope I never get any of the symptoms, because I will not get the test done. Like, I was more afraid of the test than the actual coronavirus. And guess what? I had all the symptoms of coronavirus. And I had a teleconference with the doctor, because of course they don't want you to go in if you have the symptoms, because you know, you don't want to spread it, you don't want to get anything else, all that. So I was on a teleconference with the doctor, and he's like, yeah, you gotta go get tested, like right now, like as soon as we got off that teleconference. So I had to drive 40 whatever minutes away to get this test done, and I was panicking, like I was crying hysterically. I was just overthinking everything, because I had seen, you shouldn't do it when you have anxiety, but I did it anyway. Anytime people would post videos of themselves going to get tested, I watched them like an idiot. Why would I do that to myself? I don't know. But yeah, I watched them. So I'd watch them. They're the drive-through kind where you drive through and get tested. Yeah, I don't recommend you watch those. I did. So I saw like they drive up, and then it looks like this complete like a zombie land. It's so scary. I don't know if it's because they're in bigger cities or what, but like the lines are so long, and there's all kind of people dressed up looking like scary astronauts and stuff, and like cops and just everyone, and it's so scary looking. And then I watched them go up to the window, and then I watched the people who are doing the testing try to speak to them through the window and find everything out and everything, and then I watched them get the test done where it goes, you know, up your nose, and okay. And then some people say how painful it is. Some people say like, oh, it wasn't bad, it was just whatever. But yeah, I was stupid and watched all of that. So then I had all kinds of different scenarios in my mind about how it was gonna go for me. So stupid to have done that. So yeah, I panicked the 40 however many minutes to get there, and then we got there, and I'm like, please don't make me do this. I had no choice though, I know. So I got there, and I was completely freaking out. I was crying. I was just like, oh, it was so horrible. It seriously had to have been one of the most biggest things I've had to do to overcome anxiety, if not the biggest thing. Like, I don't even know why. It was just, I think it was because I had more going on in my mind, freaking out about what might happen as opposed to the actual thing. So I got there, and thank goodness the one that was doing the test for me was so super nice. She was so nice. She was so patient with me. She like talked me through it. She helped me to calm down and breathe. And I had to put my head back, which made me even more scared, because like I felt less in control with like my head the whole way back waiting. And eventually I'm like, I know I have to just do it. So I just put my head back, and I'm like, okay, it's gonna be over. I'm thinking to myself, I got my nose pierced, so it can't possibly be that much worse. And I kind of made her say that. I'm like, can you please just tell me this isn't as bad as getting your nose pierced? And she's like, I had my nose pierced. Are you crazy? That's way worse. So I'm like, okay, all right. And that kind of calmed me down enough. So then she did the test thingy, you know, up the nose, and no, it wasn't fun, and I didn't like it, and I wouldn't go do it for fun, but it was not anything like what people made it out to be so afraid of. Honest. It was just my mind freaking me out more than anything at all. I was just like, okay. I kept thinking about all of it and seeing those scary movies of them going and getting it done. I was just so afraid for that test, more afraid for the test than actually having coronavirus. But that was my experience with it. I worked myself up for nothing. I did. I watched everyone else go before me and everything. They were even the ones driving themselves there to get it done, and they just went and did it, and that was it. And I'm like, must be nice to be normal and not have anxiety, but it is what it is. And she was really nice to me, and she helped me get through it, and very patient with me. I know she wanted to just do it and get it done and get the next people done, but she was super nice to me. And that's another thing I'd like to say, is that kindness goes so much farther than you even realize. Because anytime I've had to go in a medical setting and get some kind of test done, doctors and nurses have never had patience with me. Nothing but frustration. Ever since I was a kid, they would try to hold me down, which made me freak out worse. Because I have anxiety, and there's like a way to go about it and a way not to. It's not like I was just saying like, no, I don't want the test. It was more like, I know I need the test, I'm just freaking out to get it done. And finally someone realized that and worked with me until we could finally just get it done and over with, and I really appreciate her. I need to find out what her name is so I can thank her again, seriously, because it had to be one of the scariest things ever to have to go and face, especially after seeing all the horror stories and watching the videos. And people are trying to scare people out of leaving their house. They're trying to scare people from not wanting to get the test done, basically saying stay home or else you're gonna have to get this horrible, painful test done. And I can understand to an extent to do that, because I know we all want everyone to stay home, stay quarantined, don't go out unless you absolutely have to, so that we can get it under control. But you have to understand there's people like me on there too that have crippling anxiety, and that also means that a lot of people, I don't know how I managed to get myself through it, but a lot of people at that point, from seeing all of that, seeing the images of where the test actually goes and everything, that's going to stop people from going to get tested, and then they're not going to know that they have it, and then they're going to end up spreading it. So I think it's important to, yes, educate people to an extent so that they stay home, stay quarantined, stay safe, stay healthy, but also don't scare people out of going to get that test. Because I was seriously just freaking out the whole time. I was going to refuse it, but I was too afraid in case I did have it. I didn't want anyone else to get it, so I had to get tested. But just be careful about what you're posting, trying to scare people, and learn the facts first. I know a lot of times it's people who haven't even had the test done yet. And another thing I saw going around was scaring people into staying home by saying, if you get coronavirus, if you get the symptoms, you're going to be in the hospital bed alone because nobody will be allowed to be with you. Okay, well, I hadn't gone anywhere. I hadn't been around anyone. And I have crippling anxiety, can't go anywhere myself. And yet I got all of the coronavirus symptoms, and I had to go to the emergency room from an ambulance all by myself. So just please be careful with what it is that you're trying to use as scare tactics to get people to stay home. You can explain to them you're concerned about everyone else's safety, because I know a lot of people are being selfish right now, just thinking like, oh, if I get it, I get it. Okay, but if you get it, you're gonna give it to your family, your friends, other people that you come in contact with in public. So just, there's a right way and a wrong way to educate people. Don't scare people out of it, because like I said, people like me with the anxiety, I almost like could absolutely not go get tested. And there were a lot of nights where I felt like I did need to go to the emergency room, because I did feel like I couldn't breathe. Not as bad as it got that night when I absolutely had to and had no choice, but I had all of that in the back of my mind for all of it, all of those memes and everything that people posted, just to try to scare people into staying home. And like I said, I was staying home. I hadn't been around anyone. I had already been self-quarantined. So you just have to really be careful about what you're putting out there, especially when you're trying to use it as a scare tactic for something that's already so terrifying going on in the world.